how to manifest your desired reality. Attention plus frequency equals creation. So the first and most important thing that we'll cover in this video is the fact that you don't need more techniques because you are the technique. You don't need to convince yourself that you need some fancy course or some life coaching or some crazy vision boards or more Pinterest stuff. No, you are the technique, you are the secret. Your feelings and your thoughts and your attention is more than enough. So you need to convince yourself that this is real because it is, and you need to convince yourself that you are the technique because that is the most powerful advice anyone can give you. Manifestation. Creating inner peace to avoid emotional turmoil and navigate reality with elegance. What do I mean by that? Well, the first part here is understanding that you have to make an internal shift so that you don't need external outcomes to define your reality. What do we mean by that? Well, in the coming slides, we'll cover something called the multidimensional sequence. And in that, you will understand that the further you shift to the left, the more changes you're actually making to your external reality. So instead of trying to outwork yourself, you're trying to outbe yourself. And we'll dive deeper into what that means. The second part is feeling convinced and confident that you already have it. Because the universe operates in emotions, and that is the language the universe speaks, you have to maintain a state of conviction and confidence not only once, but over a sustained period of time so that you are giving out the right signals. You're giving out the right frequency. The third thing is being okay with and being okay without it. What does that mean? Well, it means that when something happens, or if something happens, and if it comes to you or if it doesn't come to you, it doesn't really matter because you're signaling to the universe, regardless of what you want, you're in a state of abundance. And the last thing here is maintaining the state of consciousness long enough for it to be your default. And what do we mean by that? Well, it means that you have maintained the state long enough for it to both magnify and to be maintained. So that is now your new frequency. So whatever your old frequency was sacrificed in an upgrade for a new frequency. Now the question here is, this sounds like a game, and it really is in many ways. It is a video game. But the only problem here is that you are playing with limited powers. And before we dive deeper into what that is, we also have to cover this part, which is you're already doing it, meaning you're already manifesting. You have a frequency, meaning you have emotions, you have an identity, you have a mood, you have certain things you put your attention on. You're certain that you're confident in certain skills in life, like maybe it's walking or cooking or working out or whatever it is. Everyone has something that they feel confident in. So you're already doing it. You're just not doing it in the way that you desire, and that is okay. But realize there's no magic technique here. You're already doing it. You're just tuning it to whatever you want. So, back to the game analogy, you are seeing less than 1% of physical reality, meaning you are seeing only a tiny fraction of what the electromagnetic spectrum in terms of physics is presenting. You're seeing visible light, but there's more to life than visible light. We know that we have X-ray, we have gamma rays, we have all these crazy things out there in the universe. So the clue here is not to rely on physical reality to tell you what reality is. It's about tapping into something deeper, and we'll get back to what that means. But the clue here is to realize that you're not really using the maximum of your abilities when you're just living in physical reality, meaning you're only doing and you're only basing your reality on what you can see. There's more to life. And the question is, what is that more? And that more is the mental and spiritual realm. That's how you use 100% of your abilities. And you're already manifesting, but you have to tap into the spiritual and the mental realm. And we'll get into what that means now. What that means in practice is you understand the multidimensional sequence. And the multi-dimensional sequence is built on these three levels. It's built on the mental, spiritual, and the physical realm. And what I mean by shifting left or going towards the left is you are understanding that there's something called the spiritual realm and there's something called the mental realm, and you have a certain ability to shape your mental realm, and the infinite consciousness has an ability to shape the spiritual realm, and that has a certain effect on the physical realm. So what is the multi-dimensional sequence? It's that you put your attention on energy or emotion, which is energy and motion, and that creates a certain type of vibration. And a vibration is an energetic signature. And an energetic signature applied multiple times is a frequency. And a frequency is something we'll cover in the next slide, leads to your intuition. And that intuition leads to mental nudges. And those mental nudges create some kind of action that you are hopefully taking. And those actions accumulated over time with the attention, frequency, and intuition leads to your desired reality. It's not something that you have for the future, it's something that you already have right now. Now, the key point here is that most people spend most of their time and energy in action. So if you scratch out all of the chains from energy all the way to mental nudges, that's where most people spend their time. Attention on action. But instead, we're introducing some new concepts here so that you can expand and create more from doing actually less, because you're tapped into the universal intelligence, which is out there. It's free. You don't have to be God's child. It's all there for you to take. Now, let's tap into the most important part of this multi-dimensional sequence, which is your frequency. And I've covered this in other videos as well, so if you want, you can take a look at the Outsmarting Reality by Neuro Knowledge deep dives, and we'll cover the concepts of frequency more deeply. But here is an overview of the different components. You have emotionally charged thoughts, which is actually two things, emotion and thoughts. You have your conviction or your expectation, which is your confidence that something will happen. Your feeling of, I know this will happen for me. You have your focus and attention, which is the beginning of the chain. You have your identity and perception, which is the way you see things. And then you have your beliefs, which can either serve you or they can limit you. Now, if you want a formula for how to create whatever you want to create or manifest, you use this formula. It's putting your attention, your focus, your concentration, your awareness, whatever you want to call it, onto your frequency, which is an accumulation of all of the 7 things that we covered in the last slide. So C equals A plus F. And this is really the formula. There's no more secret sauce. There's no more crazy things. This is really it. If you understand this and you can operate from this, you don't really need all the rest, right? Because this is what it all boils down to. It's your ability to confidently put attention on whatever you want without any distractions on both sides of the equation, meaning both on the attention and both on the frequency. Now, if we look at the concept of attention or awareness, concentration, etc., we see that we have a dynamic here. When we wake up, we typically have our attention span full. And to maintain that, you can use food or fasting or eating clean food as one way to maintain and hold your attention. You have meditation and you have working out. Those are 3 things that are very powerful to increase and hold your attention. And then the other part you have is information overload, drama and people sapping out your attention, and then social media. And you might argue that, these things that are on the red boxes can actually be used for good as well, and that is true. And the things on the left side can also be used for bad stuff. So it's really about you managing your own attention and managing yourself in a way that protects your attention, because your attention is your gold. Now, the next part we'll cover here is frequency. So your frequency is these 7 keys here. But there's more to it, because what we think is as long as we can increase our frequency a little bit, then we're good. And that's not the full equation. It's also about maintaining, right? So you have to turn these red boxes into green and maintain them. And another thing that might also happen is that you've actually tried to increase your frequency, but your frequency keeps dropping back down to the red level, which is completely fine. There's nothing bad about that. This is just a constant work, and it's constant practice about understanding yourself, figuring out how to increase your frequency. That's the game you're playing. So if you can tune your spiritual radio or your frequency into something that aligns with whatever you want as your desired reality, and I don't know what that is, you have to define that for yourself, you have an amazing life to come. Now, the game is, if you can control your thoughts, your emotions, and your attention, you won the game. And I'll repeat that because that is actually profound. If you can control your attention, your thoughts, and emotions, you won the game. And if you want to keep winning the game, you're maintaining that state, and you're magnifying that by the universe. So that's the game you're playing here. Thoughts, emotion, attention. That's the key to winning the game. That's the key to winning manifestation. Now, a really good journal prompt here is, how would love, strength, abundance, God act? And you can ask this question whenever you're in a struggle or in a difficult spot. Whenever you feel anxiety or whenever you feel like you need that extra push, you can ask yourself these questions because your intuition will come through and give you the answers. How would love, strength, abundance, God act in the right situation? So with that, thank you for watching, and keep breaking your own code to realize our infinite potential.